Hey, it's Zeph, and welcome back to some more
Payday 3 content.
And specifically, as you have seen from the title, welcome to a tier list video. This tier list includes all currently available heists at the end of 2023. If any more heists are added or changed, a new tier list video will follow after an appropriate number of heists have been added. Anyway, enough rambling, and here is the tier list. Yes, a tier list. Quite original, I know. But I'd like to welcome you to this tier list. So basically, right? Here's how the rating is going to work. We're not going to be basing any of these ratings on price at all. Even though we only have one DLC heist at the moment, going forward, once we get more heists, maybe like a year down the line or something, we'll do another tier list, combining it all and stuff, but we will not be taking price into consideration for this, because there could be deals, they could reduce the price later on, etc. I will be basing this on how fun it is, the payout, how difficult it is in loud or stealth, and the ins and outs or secret parts of these heists. Now again, this is all completely my opinion. This is not something that's set in stone. This isn't, there could be balance changes. There's a lot that could happen. Anyway, we're going to be going through in order of their release, as well as of story. And we're going to start, obviously, with No Rest for the Wicked. No Rest for the Wicked is a wonderful starting heist. It is a heist that is perfect for, well, getting back in the saddle and just learning the game. This is a new game. It was whenever it came out, it was new, it was fresh. It was good to see how the new mechanics worked. And No Rest for the Wicked is a perfect tutorial heist. Except for, of course, the actual tutorial heist. Actually, I probably should put those on here as a meme. But anyway, it did a wonderful job of basically showing all the different parts of the mechanics. It was a good way for us to learn them, and all around, it's a really good heist. Is it better than the Payday 2 bank heist, though? I would say yes. This was a wonderful heist. We only have one kind of it, which is the only downside of it, but I don't mind that. It introduced some cool mechanics like die packs, the whole manager thing, and the hacking. It was good. It was nice. And overall, I think it's a slightly above average heist. Now, obviously, the payout is not good. In fact, it's the lowest, I'm pretty sure, in the whole game. Of 100,000 to 500,000, depending on difficulty. So it's obviously not the best. But like I said, for what it's worth and how easy it is to complete, it is quite a good heist, a good starting out heist. So it's going to be put in B. It is a B tier. That is right. Something else this heist did very well is convey the difficulty change in loud and stealth. Stealth obviously was a huge upgrade from Payday 2, and seeing it all done and trying it out and everything, great heist for that. Loud, however, it was quite harsh. If you were on the harder difficulties, playing this and just going loud was quite difficult if you didn't know what was going on, or if you didn't know what to do later on. But once people got used to it and people started playing it more, people understood the ins and outs of doing this heist loud. Anyway, it's a B tier for me. And I imagine it will become nostalgic over time, probably because it's the first heist, it's the first bank heist in Payday 3. But who knows? Maybe not. Oh, maybe we'll even get the Payday 2 bank heist. Who knows? Anyway, that is the verdict for No Rest for the Wicked. Next up, Road Rage. Now, Road Rage is, or was, the only loud-only heist in the game. Of course, they changed that, and now we have Cook-Off as a secondary option, which is really good. We'll get to that later on, though. But Road Rage was a good show of the difference in how hard and how the loud mechanics have changed. From the hostage taking, the body shield, the enhanced SWAT, the bulldozer changes, the cloaker changes, the new grenadier. If you didn't experience it in No Rest for the Wicked, you definitely would experience it in Road Rage. Road Rage was a really good, just like I said, tutorial heist for Loud. If No Rest for the Wicked was the best tutorial heist for stealth, this one was basically a good tutorial heist for Loud. It's also very much like a armored transport heist, but just different. It's just a better and upgraded armored transport heist. It's quite nice. I like it. As for where it should go, I would say, just like No Rest for the Wicked, I'm gonna put it in B. There's a lot of stuff you can do in Road Rage. It's quite fun. Oh yes, another thing is the payout. The payout was a step up from No Rest for the Wicked, coming in at 200,000 at the lowest and 850,000 at the highest. But yes, I think that this, as well as No Rest for the Wicked, are perfect for B tier. Now we get on to the next heist, Dirty Ice. Now, Dirty Ice was, and is, an extremely fun heist, at least in my opinion. It's Jewelry Store 2.0. The biggest issue that this heist has, in terms of just how it is and how it plays and everything like that, is the fact that its payout is 50,000 at the lowest and 500,000. So this one is actually lower than No Rest for the Wicked. Not to mention the extra steps you have to do. It just isn't a lot for how much you get. Now obviously, this is also one of the fastest heists to complete. So you could complete this quite fast and farm the challenges and such for this heist. So this heist is good for leveling up and such. The difficulty, however, of this heist is actually quite easy. Like I said, you could speedrun it quite fast and basically do the heist in record time, basically. In fact, I think this actually holds the record for fastest completion. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure currently it is the fastest completable heist. In Loud, this heist is actually really fun to do. The close quarters of it, the nice areas you can hide in and set up a little camp for. The amount of civilians that are around, too. You can get tons of hostages. It's a fun heist. And alone just for the fun of it, I would put it at A. But because of simply the payout and just how much you don't really get from this heist, I'm going to have to put it at B tier. I know this is just seeming like it's just going to be a B tier all the way through, but these are really good heists overall. Really good heist, but Dirty Ice is probably the lowest for me, so that's why it's going to the far right. Alright, next up though, we have Rock the Cradle. Now, in my opinion, this is my favorite heist out of all of them. Under the Surphaze is probably my second favorite, but I love stealth in this game. Stealth is my favorite part about this game, and Rock the Cradle was a wonderful addition. The payout for it is 100,000 to 1 million, depending on difficulty, of course. So it paid quite well, and it's also really easy to speedrun. You can get through the first part of the heist very quickly. You can beat it in somewhat record time. I'm pretty sure it's slower than Dirty Ice, of course, but it is definitely one of the funnest heists. In Loud, it can be quite hard, especially when trying to get into depending on when you start the assault and stuff. But Rock the Cradle is an amazing heist in stealth. It's also extremely fun. This was also the first heist that introduced the hacking minigame, where you had to follow the lady and try to hack her through the crowds of people and stuff. And it really was a nice little mechanic that made this heist a little bit harder in some regard, especially with the randomized spawns of her. But overall, it was extremely fun. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this heist here is S. It's an S rank. I'm gonna just say it. Rock the Cradle is a wonderful heist. It's amazing. It's not SS tier, but it's definitely S tier. Rock the Cradle deserves the S spot. Now, obviously, some people don't like this heist as much because it's basically just Nightclub, but like Nightclub 2.0. I don't know why people don't like that, but I enjoy it. I especially love enjoying, and I especially love to mod the music because it's funny to hear Rajang's theme. There's also, of course, the amazing music behind it. Gustavo obviously put music in all of these, but especially Rock the Cradle, it's amazing. Especially the funny song. If you do the, if you hack the stereos and stuff. But Rock the Cradle is overall an extremely fun heist. Next up, though, we have Under the Surphaze, also known as basically Art Gallery 2.0. There's a lot of 2.0s in this game, but in my opinion, that's perfectly fine. I like reworked and remade heists in a better way. Remade ones, though, like Cook-Off and Turbid Station, are also really nice. But this one was a great example of how much better Art Gallery could have been if they put more effort into it from Payday 2. And not to say the Art Gallery wasn't fun, but this was just a much better. The only issue that a lot of people have with this heist is obviously the GTFO minigame for hacking the Wi-Fi or hacking the security boxes around the place. But something cool that this heist has is obviously the secret painting that you can find. There's also a bunch of other side stuff that you could do, such as the 2 special paintings. This was, at launch, the highest paying stealth heist, tied with Golden Shark, of course, but overall this heist is extremely fun. This is also one of the hardest heists, both in loud and stealth, as not only do you have to worry, in stealth you gotta worry about the hacking minigames with staying in one place for so long, but you also have to worry about the lasers, the motion sensors, the many guards that are in here. And if you're on the harder difficulties, the lead guard, which obviously has a huge issue. But Under the Surphaze is really hard, and in my opinion, that's good. I like hard heists. Easy heists are kind of just, they're not really cool, but still can be fun if they have certain mechanics. But Under the Surphaze is really fun. However, because of how long this heist takes, usually, as well as how hard it is, I would say that this heist is probably an A-tier heist. It's almost an S-tier. I would put it in S-tier, but because of, obviously, the minigame, this one was just standing in one place multiple times, which I didn't really mind too much, but because it's there, and I don't want to say that the public opinion is wrong, because it obviously has, there's obviously a reason to the hate, but this was also one of the only heists that has a secret to it. In fact, I think it might be the only heist that has a secret to it. Anyway, but yeah, Under the Surphaze is an A for me. Next up, Golden Shark. This is obviously Big Bank. This is, in my opinion, not as good as Big Bank, but is a wonderful take on the Big Bank. Is it fun? Yeah. There is obviously another hacking minigame, but this one is not as bad. There's also the cool security box mechanic that is later in the heist in stealth. It's a wonderful take on Big Bank. I'll say it again. But Golden Shark obviously is a really good heist. The payout for it, like I said with Under the Surphaze, is tied, but 400,000 at the lowest and 1.3 million at the highest. There is also a lot of bags that you have to take. I think there's 16, I think? 16 or 18? I'll put the number on screen, but there's a lot of bags in this heist. And honestly, it's really fun to do that. I'm a little sad that there isn't like a over drill to this heist, but that's perfectly fine. I think it's nice to have those and the secrets, such as the Under the Surphaze one. But overall, I think this heist is fun. Its difficulty, obviously, and stealth is a little difficult, but not too difficult. And loud, it is quite difficult, especially when you have to take all those bags upstairs, and the roof is absolutely just It's a it's basically a kill room on the entire roof area once the assault starts. It is also really fun, especially to try out builds and all that sorts of things. And in my opinion, it deserves the spot of A. Now next up, 99 boxes featuring Mr. Ice-T. 99 boxes, the payout is 300,000 to 1 million, depending on difficulty, lowest to highest. There's a lot of standing still in this heist, and there's not much stealthing. The best stealth part is in the first part of it, and then it's just standing still in the later part. It's not that hard, except for, of course, the additional guards that are on this heist, on the harder difficulties. But, in my opinion, it is not as good as Golden Shark, or Rock the Cradle, or even No Rest for the Wicked. I would say that this is the very first C tier heist. But 99 boxes was a good heist for stealthing about and learning some of the stealth for later on. But it's mostly just sitting around doing nothing. And in Loud, you still have to do that, which makes Loud even harder because you just have to stand still for a good bit. Now, obviously, you could get around that by hiding in the boxes or using some strategies to box in a bunch of the people. But overall, 99 boxes isn't really that good, in my opinion. This, I think, is not the best one. In fact, yeah, I'm going to put it at D tier. This is going to be a D tier heist. But 99 boxes just simply is just standing still. The game. Not to mention the music, as many people may have said, is just, at least in Loud, is just, a constant drone, which isn't really that cool. But again, I'm not basing this verdict on just music, obviously. It's just not that fun. The only fun part, I guess, is the speedrun part at the very end, where you just have to run to the truck and try to avoid the guards, which can be fun to strategize and stuff, but 99 boxes just isn't that cool. Isn't that fun? Is it a fun for the occasional heist? Yes. It kind of reminds me of Shadow Raid to some degree. Obviously, that would be like S or double S. It's not the same. Definitely not the same. It has some cool ideas, and I'd like them to be done in slightly different ways, but standing still is just not really that cool. Now, obviously, you had to stand still and Under the Surphaze for a good bit, but there was much more to Under the Surphaze. In 99 boxes, it's just stand still and then get the bags. But anyway, that is 99 boxes. Next up, the final base game heist, Touch the Sky. Touch the Sky has a payout of 200,000 to 1 million, depending on difficulty. It is a wonderful stealth heist. It's actually one of the hardest stealth heists in the game, I would say, just above Under the Surphaze. There's a lot of cool things that you have to do, from finding the hidden room, finding the vault codes, the key cards. There is a hacking minigame, but I think this is probably a good use of it, as it's slightly harder to do, and depending on the difficulty, it's on a guard that you can't kill. I think that's only on overkill. But Touch the Sky is a very difficult stealth heist. In Loud, I would say it's one of the easier ones, because as you may know, this heist was used as the level up heist, where you would go into a bathroom and obviously farm the enemies, which I definitely did. Touch the Sky, though, I would say deserves the spot of, it's better than Dirty Ice, in my opinion. Actually, it's the highest B tier. That's what I'm going to say. It's not as good as Golden Shark and Under the Surphaze, but it is better than the starter heist. I'm going to keep Dirty Ice there. But that is my rating for Touch the Sky. Now we get on to our to the first DLC heist. Obviously, these two are free, but this is the paid DLC one. Alright, Turbid Station and Cook-Off. Turbid Station is first. Now, Turbid Station is now the second highest paying heist in the game, with a minimum of 220,000 and a maximum of 1.4 million. It is a really fun heist, just like in Payday 2, with the addition of obviously a few things. For instance, the new locked off area, which isn't really new, it's just an area that was in the previous game, but now it's locked off with a fingerprint scanner, which you need a civilian worker for. Turbid Station is a wonderful remade heist of Murky Station, if you didn't know, and received a wonderful transition to the Payday 3 systems and mechanics. And I would say that this heist is definitely another S tier. Now, obviously, this is the only stealthable heist, which means you can't do it in loud. Once it goes into loud, you have like 20 to 30 seconds before you are automatically taken out of the heist, but it is still a wonderful heist for people who love to stealth. There is obviously no loud element to this, but overall, I say this heist is really good. Now, on to Cook-Off. Now, everyone knows what Cook-Off is. And if you don't, I'd be surprised. But Cook-Off is a loud-only heist. It is also now the highest paying heist of all of them, with a minimum of 120,000 and a maximum of 2.2 million. This is the highest paying heist in the game currently. However, it's also really difficult, because once you hit around 10 bags or so, it is the final assault wave starts, which makes getting 2.2 million a very hard achievement, but it is still an achievement nonetheless. It is really fun. The addition of the garage, as well as the ability for the cops to turn off the power, which actually affects the cooking, is amazing. Obviously, you can't do this in stealth, but there is a slight stealthable section at the start, which will give you give you about a minute before the cops arrive. The cooking is really fun, especially with the addition of the ability to perfectly cook the product, which makes the cooking process just a little bit funner. The redone voice lines, but this time by Shade, are really nice, and they're slightly more straightforward with telling you exactly what you need to do, and also sort of fixing her mistakes, like how Bane would make mistakes and then give you a few seconds. But overall, I think Cook-Off is a wonderful addition, and extremely hard at the later parts, so I would say this is, I'm putting in double S. Nope. This was the first double S tier heist. Listen, I loved playing Cook-Off, and the only issue that I have with this heist is that you can't do it infinitely. Now, obviously, there's reasons for that, balance reasons and such. And that's my only... Actually, no, yeah. It's coming down to S because of that. Yeah, I'm petty. But Cook-Off is a absolutely wonderful heist. In fact, I'm putting it at S tier at the top. It's really fun. They did a wonderful job at remaking it, and it's free, which, again, I'm not going to be counting as part of the ratings. It's not going to be based on price, but still, that's very nice. Same thing with Turbid Station. But that is the rating. Now, on to the very first DLC heist. Now, this one, or the very first paid DLC heist. Now, this one is obviously controversial. If it was just based on price alone, I would put it at E. I'm gonna be honest, I'd put it straight in E. This is not very good. I might just put it in the WTF, just on price alone, but it is a nice heist. It's also, though, very, very easy, in stealth at least. In loud, there's a bit more stuff to it, with the addition of the techie now. This heist becomes a bit harder to do. But in stealth, this heist is a cakewalk. In fact, I would say it's too easy. The payout for this is 300,000 at minimum, which is really good, and 1.25 million for maximum. There is also something really cool about this heist, and that is the somewhat secret lootable, which is like the reactor core, or whatever it is, because I still at this point in time have not done it yet, but it's loud only. But you can find these 2 buttons and open up the reactor, and then take the reactor core, and whatever that's worth, you probably get a few extra bucks. I don't know how much more money you get, whether that's like an extra like 100 or 200,000, but it's a nice thing to have a secret. And this is another one. This is one of the only heists that actually has a secret, besides under the surface right here. But syntax error and loud, as I go back to being talking about the loud, and loud, obviously the techie and stuff makes it a little bit harder to do. But the hardest part about this heist isn't really the heist part, because the maze and stuff, there's lots of cover, there is areas you can hide, there's quite a few civilians too that you can get as hostages. But the hardest part is at the very end, where you have to sit up at the park for around 2-3 minutes standing there and waiting for the assault wave and to end, which never ends actually. Whenever you're at the point where you explode through the park and get to the helicopter area, and it's just a lot of sitting around at the very end. In loud, I would say this is probably not really the best endings to a heist, but it is also really fun, and I actually don't mind the waiting around for a little bit, but still there is that. But like I already said though, this heist is quite easy, and there's honestly not really a lot to it. There's an upstairs area that you go to, where you obviously find the secret button, but also the code to get downstairs into the actual main part of the heist. I wish they would have done a little bit more with the upstairs area, and give us maybe like a little bit extra to do up there, and maybe a few more entrances and ways in to the actual downstairs area. But this heist is easier to complete, and it actually gives you quite a good bit of money. And also, the AI hardly does anything. It obviously closes doors automatically, but that's not really that big of a deal, especially in multiplayer, because you can just flick the switch, get out, and then let the other person flick their switch. But overall, this isn't really that hard of a heist. In fact, it's not that hard at all that I would say that it's a C tier. It's a good heist. For a DLC, it's obviously not that good. There wasn't that much in the DLC itself. You didn't really get that much. But that's besides the point. It's a good middle of the road heist. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just average. It's a good heist to do. If you want to get money, Syntax Error is a good heist, and the fact that you can play it for free without having to buy it anyway means that, you know, like I said before, the price doesn't really matter as long as someone owns it. But again, though, you know, take that for what you will. Anyway, that is my verdict for Syntax Error. And that is also the last heist on the list. Now, obviously, as more heists get added, we'll add more and stuff. But I won't do another video if they just add one more, because there's no point to that. At the end of next year, and or maybe middle of the year or something, I'll go ahead and do another tier list video, where we go through and update this on whether they balanced anything or changed any of the payouts, and so on. But anyway, that has been this tier list video. I hope you've enjoyed. Love you all. Stay safe. Know that you matter. Happy holidays. And I'll see you.